everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kate and today I'll be sharing my... Oh, and Donovan is here too. How rude. Hey, Donovan, do you want to say hi really quick? I'm sorry to interrupt your playing. I'm sorry. Okay. My bad. And today I'm going to be sharing my tips for flying with a baby. We recently flew with Donovan and he was 7 months on the day pretty much, and it went really well. So I wanted to share the tips that I have and kind of like give you some insight from my experience. We really did have a great flight both times there and back, and there were certain things that I wish I would have done a little bit differently, and there were some things that I was super proud about, like, yes, that went well on the first try. So let's just go ahead and get started. One handy thing to have, whether you have a baby or not and you're traveling, is a bag scale. This is super handy and it's really inexpensive. I think my mom got it for us for about $7. And yeah, it's just going to prevent a lot of headache at the airport. For example, we were going Delta, my bag was way overpacked. Instead of charging $25 for my bag to be checked, they were going to charge us $100. I have to go through the hassle of taking some things out of one suitcase, putting them in the lighter suitcase in front of all these people and in line. It's just a big mess. Avoid that by just weighing your bag at home and make sure it's a little bit under 50 pounds or whatever the weight is supposed to be. That way, if the scale is a little bit different at the airport, you're still safe. Another quick tip before leaving the house is to have a holder for your hot styling tools. If you're somebody like me that likes to have your hair done pretty much all the time, I just hate looking scrubbish and not put together, so sometimes before a flight I will curl or straighten my hair, and you know, you don't want to be putting a hot wand or curling iron or whatever into your suitcase, so it's really good to have one of these. Something that I had to do before I left for my flight was get shoes that didn't have laces. Through security, you're gonna have to take off your shoes unless you're like the one random person that's chosen not to take them off. Just make sure that you have something that's a really nice, easy slip-on shoe. That way you don't have to worry about tying it while your baby's strapped onto you or somebody's holding your baby. That's just a huge inconvenience. So I wore these really cute loafers and they were a huge help. Just now I mentioned having your baby on you, and I know in the past I've referenced that Magda Gerber and other people that I really admire talk not necessarily negatively about baby carriers, but they don't favor them. I personally haven't found much use for mine just yet, and maybe that's because I only have one baby, but I definitely recommend having it on you at the airport. It's going to make your life so much easier for obvious reasons, but obviously you're going to need to be carrying a lot of things, and just to be holding your baby in one arm while, you know, doing something simple like taking off your shoes or buying a bagel. This is just going to make your life so much easier for obvious reasons, and every mom is going to tell you this. It will check your hands for explosives. I think that's the purpose of that, but other than that, it was completely simple. I just walked right through the metal detectors with him strapped on me, and 2 thumbs up to that. I was so happy that I brought my stroller along for this trip. Okay? Bless you. If you are traveling alone with your baby, you can kind of stack everything onto it and check it at the gate, and you know, it just makes everything so much easier, you know. And if you're a person that doesn't want to use a baby carrier, then you can really just stroll around with your baby and until the gate, and then, you know, you'll have them in your arms. It just made things really convenient as far as carrying all of the luggage I had and just the regular bags that I needed with me. One thing that I'm not sure if it applies to every airline or if it just applied to the ones that we flew, but they do let you board first if you have a baby and a stroller and all of that stuff. Really make sure that you're at your gate on time or ahead of time. That way you can board first, and you'll be so thankful that you did. I also recommend all mamas and daddies bringing Ziploc bags and dog bags. We got our dog bags from the dollar store, obviously for $1, and I forget how many are in that box, but you can probably see there in the video. And you don't necessarily need to bring both the dog bags and the Ziploc bags. I simply did because, you know, I wanted to minimize the smell and the germs by really sealing everything, but I like having the dog bags too just because they're scented and, you know, easy access. Same goes for the flight. I would recommend bringing at least 2 outfits for your baby and make these onesies and sleepers. Those are the easiest things to take on and off of your baby, and yeah. As far as diapers and wipes go, I brought 4 diapers for our 5-hour flight, and I brought a ton of wipes. I just, once again, think it's best to err on the side of caution here. You don't want to be underprepared. There's no harm in having too many diapers, but there's definitely gonna be some discomfort if you guys don't have enough. Once again, I did 4 for 5 hours, but some people do like 1 diaper for every 2 hours that they're flying, and that makes sense too. So as far as diapers and changes go, I really actually enjoy changing my son on the plane. I thought it gave him some really nice time to stretch out on that changing pad, and even though it was really small and I felt like kind of a germaphobe, even though I'm not like that, I felt like he was kind of happy, like making faces in the mirror and just having some time to relax. So that's one upside to changing your baby on the plane. Yes, my son did poop on the plane, so I needed to change him. I changed him before we flew as well, and that's what I was trying to get to here. That's my tip. If you're taking breast milk with you, make sure that you have 3 ounces in each container or bottle. Otherwise, they're going to check each and every one of your bottles, and that just not only grosses me out, but it's super tedious. You're gonna be standing there with your baby strapped on you and all the people behind you and probably barefoot, so just go for the 3 ounces. On the same topic, if you have a cooler with a little frozen pack, make sure that your pack is literally frozen solid. If it's even a little bit defrosted or thawed out, they will consider it liquid and either make you toss it or test it or whatever. Once again, just avoid the annoyance and the complications. What? Do you want to come up here? One cool helpful thing for mamas that are feeding with formula is that they have to-go packets that you can just take with you and stir into the water or shake into the water. And that could probably be really, really helpful for an airport/flight situation, so consider those. Or you can obviously just pre-measure and baggie and Ziploc baggies your formula as well. Something I forgot to mention about getting to the gate and boarding is that sometimes you'll be lucky and there will be a seat with an empty seat next to it, and you just need to make sure you ask whoever's working there, the attendant, if they have a seat like that available, and usually they're more than happy to give it to you. We were lucky enough to get a seat just like this for our flight back to LA, and it was awesome because I just was able to put our bag of toys and snacks and books and things right next to me, and I had easy access to everything, and more space in general is just always better with a baby. So make sure you ask. You could be lucky. One thing you should probably have with you is a portable changing pad that you can wash off. Okay. More likely than not, you're going to prefer changing your baby on something that you own and you clean as opposed to the carpet floor of an airport or a changing pad in an airport or on a plane. As far as flight attire goes, I really recommend for nursing mamas to wear something at least really stretchy and accessible, a cardigan and a scarf. The cardigan and the scarf can work as blankets, they can work as cover-up. A pillow, and in general the flights are usually kind of freezing, so I like to have some extra layers on me. Well, I really recommend scheduling your flight to be super duper early or very, very late. It'll help your baby's sleep schedule stay on track, and in general a sleepy baby is best on a plane, you know, that way you don't have to feel like they're cooped up and aggravated or uncomfortable for very long, because they'll be asleep and they'll be just fine. I suggest also calling your airline ahead of schedule just so that you know what kind of paperwork you might need for your baby. The only reason I recommend this is because apparently some of them require a vaccine report, birth certificate, and it's just kind of strange, but you know, you never want to be caught off guard at the last minute while you're, you know, going through security or whatever. Make sure you just call your airline or look up online what your airline requires for your baby. I only brought a couple of playthings on the flight with us. Donovan's really just into his teethers and books right now, so he had more fun actually just looking and kind of talking to the people on the plane, bouncing around, you know, hanging out with me and just looking at all of the stuff that was going on the flight. So we really didn't need that much stuff, and I'm happy that I didn't bring too much because toys tend to get really cluttery. But of course, in typical baby fashion, Donovan was way more fascinated with the literature that the plane provided than any of the books that I brought for him. A lot of moms, though, recommend tying a string or piece of yarn to your toy and then to the seat in front of you, like the tray or your armrest. That way, if it falls, you're not like going crazy or it's rolling to the back of the plane. So that's a really good suggestion if you're a toy person. I also recommend getting an aisle seat. That way, if your baby is kind of active or feeling curious, you can walk them up and down the aisle when the time's right. And it's kind of good too to schmooze up the people on the plane in case your baby does have a moment where they're upset or uncomfortable. People will like your baby a little bit more and complain a little bit less in that case if they've already interacted with them. And a lot of people recommend this, which is breastfeed on takeoff and landing. Donovan was not hungry at either of those times, but he was wide awake and he just peacefully fell asleep on takeoff. I was really fortunate. As far as landing, he just once again was just hanging out, talking, had no problem. So if you're somebody that's really scared about that, I think you can take a deep breath and have a sigh of relief because your baby's probably going to do tremendously better than you're expecting. At least that was the case for us, and I was so thankful and so relieved. Another thing would be to prepare all of this 100% the day before, not the night before, not the morning of, the entire day before. And hopefully, you know, while your baby's napping, you can knock out a lot of these little tedious chores and packing. But the more prepared you are, the better and the smoother this experience will go. But in general, don't sweat what's coming if you're about to travel with your baby, because I guarantee they're going to do tremendously well and at least a lot better than you ever expected. And if, you know, the worst case scenario is that your baby is crying and really inconsolable and uncomfortable on the flight, it's only gonna last for so long, and you know, people will forgive you. Most people have kids of their own or nieces or nephews, and they should understand. Everything's gonna be fine, and I really support traveling, especially with a baby, because it's so good for them and it's so good for you to be out and about and living and enjoying your life. So those are my tips, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It supports my channel, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Also, please, in the comments below, I would love to hear your guys' stories about vacations and trips, where you've gone, how it went, things that helped you out, the tips that you personally have, and what you think about the tips that I gave today. So, yeah, thank you so much again for watching. Mwah. See you next time.